symbolizes the Christ light in all of us. Please join me in muting your cell phones if you haven't already. And if you would, please let us read the mission statement you will find in your bulletin. The Center
for Universal Oneness is a place where those who want support on their spiritual journey may join with others for mutual encouragement, inspiration, and guidance. The Center draws on those practices based in new thought and metaphysical approaches. The higher Christ consciousness provides the foundation. We strive to live in the oneness of love.
And our vision statement?
Extending into the world faith, love, peace, and joy.
And Sherry Holland will lead us in our morning prayer.
Good morning.
Good morning.
If you're willing, please close your eyes and focus on your heart. Take a good deep breath. Fill your heart space with the gift of breath. And now remember something that you appreciate. And let that feeling fill your whole body. Spirit of all that is, we are grateful this morning for the connection that brings us all together each Sunday and for the opportunity to grow closer to you. As we approach Independence Day this week, we are so grateful for the devotion, dedication, and sacrifice, not only of our remarkable founders, but also of those serving in the military, in offices high and low, and those volunteering in innumerable ways to build and preserve our national heritage. We appreciate your guidance as we do our part as citizens to contribute to this effort. Please open our hearts and minds this morning to new ideas and new viewpoints as we share in our service. And so it is. Amen.
Amen.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm so pleased to be able to share a few things from my book here, Beyond the Thorn Hollow. I'm going to start off reading a little bit of the preface of the book. It's on writing poetry. I think we all have moments in our lives that remain vivid. A friend once told me of sipping tea with her grandmother in Coeur d'Alene as snowflakes descended on a cold winter's day. That simple story remains fresh in my mind 40 years later. Why? As I added to this collection, I came to realize that these poems, more than anything else, describe the brief moments in my own life, those brief moments when I was fully alive. I hope they delight you, and I encourage you to tell your own stories. This offers us all a wonderful way forward, a way to connect with each other. For aren't we all, in our essence, storytellers? Uncle Johnny's freckles. 5 years old, looking at the freckles that covered his body, every square inch of it, according to my older sister Kay, age 6. I tell you, Gregory, they're everywhere. I saw him naked in the bathroom. They're even on his... She runs off squealing. So I say, Uncle Johnny, I knew how you hated him. Uncle Johnny, why don't you get the doctor to cut him off? Uncle Johnny laughs like he has thought of this before. Yes, indeed, boy, I could do that. But then I just have scars all over my body. Those freckles, you know, were just about the best thing about Uncle Johnny. This is a scene from Seattle where I lived many years, a street scene. A street man's benediction. From out of a fog, he came forth on a bike, headlong into rushing traffic, swerving at the last possible moment, defying death like a trapeze artist between grips. Tough, nappy-haired boys nearby roared, all of us mesmerized by his stunts as he swooped in and out of the oncoming cars, and then came to a light near me, I awaiting a city bus. He mistook me for an opponent, an old opponent, on a court down the street, the roar of the crowd still fresh in his ears. He insisted. I relented. We laughed together, he straddling his bike. The bus came, the doors opened. He detained me, raising a fist, a gently closed fist, and then tapped my chest 3 times, whispering these words, "Nothing but heart, man, nothing but heart." Nothing I'd done deserved this benediction, this gift that has so sustained me and mine through troubled years, and he asked not one thin dime. How often I've recalled your words, street man, knowing that once, by your grace, I was whole. By your grace, street man, I was whole. And you asked, not one thin dime. Are you gone now, you with your daring do, fearing not death on the cold, hard, slick Seattle streets, swooping fearlessly between oncoming cars, spreading your benedictions, fearing not death? A great poet has said that greedy we are to bargain, to ask God for a second life when he has given us all. But, sweet laureate, I hope you're wrong, and there is a heaven for this street man. And when he enters, God will sigh in relief to know that his grand cosmic scheme was not to no avail, because that Seattle street man gave so much and asked not one thin dime. This is a scene from my childhood in Cajun, Louisiana. My grandparents, I lived with my grandparents. My father had died when I was very young, and they raised me in the Cajun country on my great-grandfather's old place. All French people, they speak French most of the time. And the Cajun people love to dance. My grandparents dance. Together on the sofa, Claudia Kay and I, Sunday afternoon, grits on the stove, Cajun band on the television, Aldous Roger and the Lafayette Playboys. Excuse me. Accordion and fiddle take turns. The steel guitar solos and the Cajun men wail. Oh, don't call it.
Cold water.
Oh man. I knew I shouldn't eat those chips.
We're supposed to. You didn't eat that.
Serves me right. Accordions and fiddles take turns. The steel guitar solos and the Cajun men wail. Aye! Our grandparents rise and dance. The Cajun two-step, his steps quick and neat, her blue eyes sparkling, his face stern, no give in him. But she smiles up at him, unafraid. The two-step, impeccable. When our grandparents danced on that Sunday afternoon, the sun, stunned by the perfection of their dance, stood still. Okay, and this is a signature poem from this book, and it was inspired by a scene I saw at the Hy-Vee down the road. You know, there's a young man with Down syndrome who's worked there for about 20 years. His name's Jeremy. Probably a lot of you know him. And our whole community really has embraced him. And the story really, I think more than him, is about what I saw in the cashier who was working with him, the way she looked at him, and it's maybe more about all of us and the way we are and, you know, how good we can be. Beyond the thorned holly, a sunset peeking out from beyond thorned holly teases me as I emerge from the darkening woods. A pastel pink and blue evening sky, adorned by long marbled clouds, settles over the Pacific Sound. The young girl looks up from the ladybug and smiles up at me, 8 years old, jigsaw puzzle teeth, frizzy hair, small eyes that sparkle at the center, the spark within her always available. The chubby hands of the boy with the surplus chromosome fill my grocery bag, no crushed bread or broken eggs. The cashier, bony hands pressing against her abdomen, her aproned abdomen, silently watches over him. The sadness in me gone. I walk out the doors, bags in hand, out into bright January sunshine. The young mother hears a whimper, rises, pulls on her well-worn chenille robe, slips quietly into the baby's room, pulls back the quilt she made while awaiting him. Pastel, pink, and blue, no ultrasound informed her. She picks him up, sits in the chair next to the crib, opens her robe, milk flowing, she bends to him and softly, very softly, kisses his splayed lip and nose. Her affection for that imperfection, her sweet secret. It's time now, you know, to embrace our imperfections. The smoke-filled kitchen from another incinerated can of soup, the broken pottery, the failed marriages, the damage done to our beloved children. Time now to remember that a cool breeze cleared that smoke, to remember that after everything, our children inexplicably still call us with joy in their voices. Time to remember the sunset beyond the thorned holly.
Thank you, Greg. Those were really beautiful and heartfelt. Thank you.
Thank
In a way, that makes a nice segue into what I'm going to do, because I'm going to do a storytelling exercise. And about 4 years ago, I took a class in storytelling with a local lady named Laura Packer. As the final exercise for that class, final project, I invented an exercise I called the interactive castle. And it works like this. Imagine that behind me is the type of magic castle you might see at Disneyland. It's got spires and turrets on it, and it's got a high wall around the front, moat and a drawbridge, all that. And because it's a magic castle, there might be rainbows up in the air and butterflies flying overhead. And somewhere up in the air there might be dragons flying around too. So it looks like a magic castle. So if you will, imagine that I'm standing in front of that castle. I walk across the drawbridge, across the moat. I'm inside the wall of the castle. I go up the wide marble stairs in front. I push open the wide front door of the castle, and now I'm inside this giant magic castle. And I notice something funny. The castle is full of empty space. Since the castle is full of empty space, I'm going to add a couple of things. I'm going to add a flight of marble stairs going up to a second floor. I'm going to go up those wide marble stairs up to the second floor, go down the hall a little bit, and there's another wide wooden door. I push that door open, and I'm in a library. In the library, there are shelves and shelves of books, stacked floor to ceiling, books everywhere. All your most favorite books in the world are in this library. So I'm going to walk over to a certain shelf. I'm going to pull out my most favorite book of all time, and I'm going to sit down in a nearby easy chair, and I'm going to start to read that book. Now, I've added something to this giant castle. I've added the library. But remember, the library is still full of empty space. And so now, John Hardesty, add a room to the castle. What sort of room would you like to see in this magic castle?
Beautiful bedroom.
A beautiful bedroom. Okay. Anything else?
King size bed.
Oh.
Shades in front of the window.
Okay.
Beautiful heart on the wall.
No shade and a heart on the wall. Okay. Barb, add a room to the castle.
Oh, mine is gonna be the dining room, and there's gonna be the Knights of the Round Table. It's a big round table, big chairs, and a lot of big chandelier over it.
Okay. Bill, add a room to the castle.
Well, let's have a man cave in there. TV, easy chairs, maybe a conveyor that brings you your drinks and everything, snacks.
It's a magic castle.
I sort of suspected that was going to. Okay, Heather.
Let's put a bathroom with a big clawfoot tub and modernize with jets and a spigot on the wall that will give you wine whenever you want it.
Ruth, you're in.
All right, this person right here, Kim Martin.
Let's see. I have a room that opens to a balcony, and it's a bird watching room, and there are bird feeders around, and there are multicolored birds flying in, eating. Cats are kept out of this room. There's a lot of light that flows into it, and greenery around, and comfortable light-colored chairs to sit in.
Okay. Lauren.
Right next to the library, if you're tired of Kim's room, that's Solarium. Lots of comfortable furniture, obviously floor to ceiling windows, the tinted, so it's not too hot in there. You can bring your books in and read it whenever you want.
Mine's the game room. Nice food table, ping pong, so many things that I've just given up. Yeah.
All right.
A screen porch, elevated, second floor, inside the trees, birds around.
Good. That's good.
Nobody mentioned the kitchen. We're not eating?
No cooking anyway.
Okay. A kitchen with those wonderful gas stoves that are so fun to cook on and all the great ovens.
Mine's a rec room too, with ping pong, foosball, things like that. A lot of people.
I'll put you down there with Neil and Bill. Okay. Let's go to the back table.
Mine would be a den. No TVs, no computers, and we have a fireplace with comfortable chairs in a circle, and a lovely round table in the middle where people could gather and talk and listen.
Okay. And let's keep around the table.
I want a nice pool with water tub, going down into and porches.
Let's.
I think we need a room for children, where children can come in anytime. There's lots of books, there's lots of toys, there's very few rules. They can just come in and have a wonderful time playing, using their imagination, lots of creative things for them to use their sweet little imaginations.
Okay. And Gordon.
I think I like to go one stop. Everyone producing.
With taps going up to my bathroom.
And this seems to be a recurring theme. Okay. Nancy, add a room.
Well, this would have to be in cooler times, with a nice fireplace, cozy fireplace, and dim lighting, and a nice couch around the fireplace.
Okay. When, add a room.
It would be my art room where I would have various types of artists work, and then there'd be an easel for me. And I would take from some of those artists, some of their ideas, make mine more open.
Ida.
Well, in that beautiful bathroom that somebody has designed, I want it to be a toilet that flushes.
That's helpful. Okay. Bill, you want to add a room? Well, Jeffrey.
My room, my addition is a time travel room. You can walk into it and imagine any time in the world, the history of the world, and there would be, it would be decorated like that. It would have people even in there. I was thinking it would be somewhat like the Globe Theater, where the Lord Chamberlain's men, including Shakespeare, would come and do a Midsummer Night's Dream.
Cool.
Nice.
I'm going to spend time in Kim, Lauren, and Greg's room. Then I'd like to create a performance space where in the evening when I'm a little bit already full of nature, then I can have performance of theater and music.
Nice. Patrick.
Oh, I'm going to expand Wynn's painting studio, big north light window, lots of supplies, and so people can join and paint and create.
If you put it in my room, it could be in Paris.
All right. Let's not forget our timekeeper, and then Doug will finish us off.
Okay. I would have a pool, swimming pool room where you could swim in a very warm, heated pool, but then there'd be a glass or something that you could lift up in beautiful weather and swim to the outside. Beautiful palm trees and stuff all around.
I would like to spend time there too.
Okay.
Douglas, finish us off. What would you like?
My room would actually be up on the roof where I could have a distant view of all the surrounding countryside. And then as I walk in from that, I'm in a gallery full of impressionistic art.
Very nice. Okay, so I'm going to bring this to a close. So that just shows you the power of imagination. It doesn't cost anything to go to the interactive castle or to do an exercise like that. You can do it anytime. And maybe one of these days I'll do another presentation on the power of imagination. Thank you.
Okay. Turn that off so that squeal. All right, most of you know me. I'm Patrick Hanley. And I went back and got my in-faith ministerial degree in the midst of a busy career working in organizations. And the thing was, I wanted to see if I could interject spirituality in the small training program. Now, I was just listening this morning as we read our vision, say, extending into the world faith, love, peace, and joy. Now, I think sometimes the smallest of things can extend that. It doesn't have to be a big prayer or a deep meditation. Sometimes if you just catch yourself in the fray and reframe what you're saying, you have done something spiritual. You are there. So I brought something. I was cleaning out my office the other day. And these were dated 1989. I was going to throw these away. I thought, wait a minute, I could do this with a spiritual tradition for you. It's called Gripes to Goals. So we're going to have some fun laughing at each other and ourselves. And if you'll just repeat that phrase, this is a spiritual act, turning a gripe into a goal. And so I hope you think, well, how do I do this? Now, you remember the purple bracelets with Will and all that? Yeah. I remember when Will was there, and I talked to him. I said, well, Will, what if other people are complaining? And he said, well, that's not an issue. If everybody quits complaining, then there are no complaints. Yeah, but if I'm around someone who's griping, and what do I say? Or there's a system. Let's combine the two. Well, he didn't have an interest in that. So I kept these around. And notice they're blue, and I'm dressed in blue. And last night I found this little rubber band on the cauliflower, or the broccoli that we were cooking, so I thought I can start a movement here. So I'm going to do one of these. And since we just have 10 minutes, what we're going to do is go through just this side. And the other pages were all designed just for examples and writing them down. So you don't have to write anything down. We're going to do this together. But if you want to, feel free to. So I'm going to give you each one of these historical archives.
Did you dust them off?
I did dust them off. I actually opened. Yeah, so I can have an assistant thinking over this. They'll get something back there. Yeah. Okay. Now, the way to do this is to think little first. Don't take on a big, complicated guide. Think of the littlest thing you can. Now, I'm going to read the example here just so you know how to follow along. And then we're going to take the 2 minutes. You need more? 4 more? Bill?
Yeah,
Do we have any right?
Do we have several more?
Right over here.
Right, it is in my handout before.
We need 3 here.
3 here, please.
down in front.
What about pencils? Anybody else?
I'll take your needle for this. Need more? Does everybody have?
2 more, please.
Jill said, yeah. All right. So while Dale's busy distributing the notes, let me walk you through it. So the first thing, identify the gripe. Now this isn't always so easy. When you're standing there with someone and they're griping or complaining about something, it's very easy to get caught into that. The next thing you do is gripe even better. You say, I can now do that. It's irritating me. So here was the example here. Somebody's in the office and they've got a beef and they've got a gripe and they're saying, well, the vowels are always in the wrong word. Okay. So it would be easy to jump in and do 2 things. Either gripe along with that or try to fix it too early. Do not be a fix-it person because you're joining the gripe at that moment. Right? And then what are they going to do with all the fixes, all the great ideas you have? They're going to discount them because they came from you. So don't get caught on that. And you watch this morning, we'll probably all get caught when we practice it. State the wish. Now this wish is often unrealistic. It's buried in that person. But we can have fun laughing at it. And when we do it with each other and we get good at it, we can exaggerate that and have a good laugh. And that's part of the what? Part of our spiritual mission. Joy. We can laugh at some of the affordable. So in this one, what's the wish? She says, sure wish is everyone was as organized and hardworking as she was, and I'm mad at them because they weren't, and I wish they'd follow my system. That's kind of an unrealistic wish, isn't it? But she's griping the files are in the wrong order, and underneath that is kind of the wish, I wish they would follow my system. And of course, everybody's busy living their own life. Now what's the real concern? See, I think a lot of times a gripe is a good thing because it can lead to a solution. But we have to reframe it and have fun with that, okay? So what's her real concern? Well, I put in this example. By the way, I did this, in 1980, probably 2 years before it printed, with an old Mac SE30 or something, Yeah, computers have just come out. I can't do my work as quickly as I'd like to, and if I have to take time and reorganize the file and search for what needs to be done. So that's a realistic concern. And there are better systems, better ways to do things, so sometimes the gripe can lead to an improvement. And that's what we want in the last one. Restate the gripe as a goal, because what were we doing? We're turning gripes into goals. And I love your participation. I had one small gripe. Okay, so what is it? And I've changed this over the years, but originally I was just said how to get the team to organize files first thing in the morning. Well, that could be something. The goal needs to be something people can join in on. So I've added since then, in the new improved version, is how can we create a system to keep the files in better organization, right? Who else can throw one in? There could be 100 of these. Because if it's restated well, you'll get a lot of creative ideas that involve inclusion. How can we, give me one on that, those misorganized files.
Get rid of the files altogether.
Yeah, how can we reduce the files altogether? The need for files. Oh, geez, yeah, who needs to organize them if we get rid of them? Yeah. But now the catch is I can join in. Oh, not a bad idea. Where before, if you'd said,